I didn't make any money coming out of school. And
So before the acquisition, were you profitable or?
no, far from profitable.
Okay.
It was very tough, I think on both sides.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah, it was really
That's
good.
amazing.
It's actually my dog's channel. It was on the front cover of like Break.com, AOL, like all over Reddit. They're definitely not holding me hostage by any means.
Guys, we are driving to my house because someone super exciting is coming for a tea today. We're gonna chat with Teri. So let me tell you a quick story. I met Teri when Nas Daily came to San Francisco and organized this creator meetup. And we're hanging out with her and she told me how she was building a creator company. Several months later, I read in the news that she sold that company to Kajabi, a platform that I use to host my courses. So I'm super excited to chat to this female founder about getting acquired, about this whole landscape, the whole market of courses created by creators, and also like the whole journey of how you build a company as a female entrepreneur, how you strategize the acquisition. I'm super excited. Let's go chat with Teri. So congratulations on selling your company. That's amazing. I've been following Bibly for over 2 years, I think. I saw the announcement on Lavender's channel when she started doing the community. And I was like, oh, maybe I should try. And I think we were in touch with the team, but I was all over the place. I was pregnant with my second baby. So I was like, oh, that's a cool thing. And I'm like, continue doing my thing. Okay, let's start with your childhood because you have an incredible story. You're an immigrant. And tell me about that.
So it's not my story, it's my parents', but it's one of my sources of inspiration. They came in the 80s with my brother. I wasn't born yet. And they lived in Arizona. And they literally had nothing. Like they came and they were extremely poor. My parents were going kind of like door to door trying to find ways to make money. So my mom would like knock on her neighbor's door, try to figure out like who needs a haircut, who needs babysitting services, and she would try to, basically make ends meet for a family that way. And my dad would be a dishwasher at like the local cafeteria. He would bus for a couple of restaurants. Yeah, they were trying to really make it in the States. So,
And you were born here, right?
yes. And so when they had me, it was an extra burden on the family. So they would, get my toys and our bedding out of the trash. Like it was a very, very humble beginnings. And with just like the hard work that my dad put in and just like the continued action that he took to make his life better and our family's life better, he was able to like get a job at Intel as a software engineer.
How was their English when they came?
Horrible. So I think that's like one of the most inspiring aspects for my family is that they came, didn't know any English, like literally was just trying to figure out how to make it in this like world, and they still was able to like climb out of that poverty cycle. Just like very inspiring. Today I'm just so thankful to like see that kind of go forward attitude that helped me see that like
you have it in your genes, right?
Yeah, I think so. Or like just environmentally like seeing them do this since I was a child has helped me grow in that way a lot. Yeah.
And so you were born in Arizona, and how did you end up in the Bay Area?
Yes, so I was grew up in Arizona. I actually didn't really like it. Sorry, Arizona. But it was kind of like not all that interesting for me, like from a career perspective and or just like a lot of things close early, and I'm kind of a night owl.
Same here, no?
Yes, but San Francisco is better.
Los Altos stores. Tuesday to Thursday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. I'm not kidding. This is like the store that we have downtown.
That's true. Yes, yeah. Somehow I've regressed back to wanting like a more serene environment. But at the time, I went to USC, got a full scholarship there, and just studied business. Afterwards, I wanted to pursue a career in tech. So. Moved to the Bay Area, which was one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Was it hard, like the price level, the level of competitiveness?
It was hard because it was, I didn't make any money coming out of school. And when I accepted my first job, it was at a company called Yammer in San Francisco. It was decent pay, but it's still not, at the level of that SF cost. I just made it work. Like we lived in the Tenderloin.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
It's a little dangerous. Yeah, for sure.
How did you transition from a corporate job into a startup world?
Okay, so starting at Yammer, it was actually kind of like a late stage startup at that time. And when we got acquired by Microsoft, I got to see both worlds of like what is a startup like versus what is a big corp like. When we were working with Microsoft, I kind of quickly realized that the bureaucracy and the corporate environment wasn't for me. So I just didn't like how much like red tape there was for everything. Like it was always just about process and like politics and stakeholder buy-in and stuff like that. So it's just like not something that I found personal fulfillment from. So then I wanted to go back into startups. So joined a really early stage startup at that point, started doing product, and then also like jumped into product at Asana as an early growth PM. Then after that, I decided to start Vibely.
So you decided to start a company. Have you raised money right up front, or how was your first?
Yeah, good question. So I'm the type of founder that's a little bit different than the average Silicon Valley one, where I, for myself, want to have proof points established before I fundraise, just for like my own confidence level. And so when we first started, we actually worked heads down for about a year before we raised our pre-seed round. So what I wanted to understand was, do we have enough validation of our business like hypotheses to know that we're like building on the right track? And after a certain like set of hypotheses were checked off in my mind, then that's what I took to go fundraise. And so it was really helpful for even the investors to see like that level of diligence prior, and it just helped the entire like pre-seed round go much more smoothly.
At some interview, you mentioned that you were a creator with 2 million views on YouTube, but I couldn't find the channel.
Okay, so it's actually my dog's channel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was the editor slash like her slave, but it was her basically just being cute. I would record her all the time. I'd edit the videos.
On YouTube, right?
On YouTube, yes.
When did you start it?
So this was in 2011, a long time ago. It was part of my effort. I tried to start a dropshipping company at the time for pet supplies because I read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek and I was like, oh, I want to do that too. And use the YouTube channel as a potential way to market it. And then by the 6th video I posted, she had a very super viral video.
Are they still on YouTube?
Yeah, it's called Klikai Freaks Out Over Lime. She's just licking a lime, she jumps around, dances. And this video went so viral that like it was on the front cover of like Break.com, AOL, like all over Reddit. And then she has her video licensed by a bunch of like Japanese networks who have it in like documentaries and like random TV shows and stuff. So, and then from that, she had like a agent in the UK that was representing her and like had like negotiated the deal. So it was a very exciting time, but it really showed me kind of like the power of community and like especially underneath the brand of a YouTube channel. So when I was, when the channel was going viral, I had so many inbound messages from people who either liked the breed of a Klikai or had one already, and they were just sharing their stories, asking questions. Like it was all this like pent up energy that they had, and I was the source of like potential discussion for them. And so at the time, I tried to spin the engagement into a posturist blog just to like get people talking, but I didn't have the scale that I needed to be like successful. And then fast forward now, it's been 10, 15 years since like my YouTube days. The reach for creators has just has grown at 65% year over year. And so we now live in an age where that kind of like scaled engagement is possible. But it really gave me a lot of the like source of inspiration and empathy for like the problems that we're looking to solve for Vibely.
And this is how you started, like with this idea in mind, you started Vibely.
Yes, yeah.
So your initial concept was the same as when you sold the company, right?
No, not really. Okay. I mean, there's like a whole bunch of iteration we did, but originally we actually were focused on these creator communities but there was like a focus on offline.
So it was initially for offline, then you pivoted to online communities, right?
Yeah, so the concept was that like if Lingua Marina had a community, you would have events potentially all over the world, in Los Angeles, in Tokyo, in like Australia or wherever, and people could have like host these events on your behalf. And that would allow the community to like engage and have conversations and practice their like Spanish or whatever, and you wouldn't necessarily have to be there. So that was the original concept. That's an interesting concept. So we pivoted, we iterated a lot along the way. COVID was a huge hit to that concept in our business. We went from powering over 500 meetups to 0. So we really had to get together and think about, okay, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, what have we seen that's successful in our product and the way that users have been using it that we could lean into for our pivot.
How big was the team?
The team at that time was around 5.
And you had your pre-seed money, right?
Yeah, so we had our pre-seed round, and then we also had our seed round at some point. In total, we raised over 2.5 million from amazing founder-operator type investors, which, like the YouTube founder, Steve Chen.
Oh, really? He's your investor?
Yeah.
He's also Taiwanese, right?
He's also Taiwanese,
Nice.
so had that connection with him. And then lean startups like Eric Rees, like Hit and Shaw, Asana founder Justin Rosenstein.
I pitched Hit and Shaw.
Oh yeah? How did that go?
I think he was he at Yahoo or something?
He was the founder of Kissmetrics.
Yes, and they were acquired by Yahoo. Yes, I pitched them at Yahoo.
Oh yeah?
2015, I think.
What was it like?
It was cool. Like, I didn't know anything about those people. Like,
You're
I
like,
came,
who's this?
I was at 500.
Yeah.
Bunch of intros, bunch of amazing. Like, I later on realized how amazing they are.
Yeah.
But back then, I was like, I'm just doing a lot of meetings.
And I think that's the way that you should approach those conversations too. Like, because you should see them as potential like peers or people that you can help and they can help you.
Yeah.
Like you should never go into a conversation and be like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
you are everything.
Yeah, you have to be
That's not
realistic
worthy.
about the relationship that you're gonna have.
Exactly. So yeah, I think that's like the best thing about this entire journey is just like all the amazing people that you meet, like the connections you make.
Yeah.
I'm just so inspired by the people like I'm around all the time.
That's great. So they were your investors, and then during COVID, you had to explain them, or
Yep. So, I mean, all of our investors were very supportive, like extremely founder friendly. So when I sent investor updates to kind of tell them what was happening with the business, like they all were very much aligned and understood like the need to pivot, kind of were supportive on giving us resources that we needed to make the jump.
so you decided to pivot to building online communities, right?
Yeah.
And you started onboarding these amazing creators. How hard was it approaching
So-
the bigger creators on YouTube?
Yeah, so definitely hard no matter what. Like when you approach anyone, you're trying to get new customers, it's never easy. I think one of the things that I am best at is actually not taking rejection personally. I just kind of like
How many were like you reach out to 10 people? How many? Get
probably one.
Probably one.
Yeah, if that, right? Because creators are this whole segment that is even like harder to reach than the
Yeah,
average
because all of the
person.
emails we get per day, right?
You know,
and
like,
you
there's
don't know
so
who's
much.
legit.
Yes,
because sometimes
so
they're like
hard
just
to tell.
bombarding everyone.
Exactly. So we would send out a lot of emails to potential creators that we thought were a good fit. I probably sent you one at some point.
Yeah, because I remember checking you out.
Yeah,
Or like
yeah.
got an email.
Yeah, you just can't take people's busyness or lack of like knowledge about the company personally. You just keep going, you keep
Yeah.
sending emails, you keep doing your thing, selling. So we did some pretty cool tactics that reached I think Matt Stefanina's team or some other creators, famous creators, but basically we recorded a video of like us kind of like pitching the concept, showing some screenshots, basically like YouTube style, and then sent it in just a personal email.
Nice.
Obviously took time.
So let's talk about the acquisition. How big was the company when you got acquired?
So we were around 8 full-time, and then we had 20 contractors. So we had this like really crazy model. I don't know if you've come across companies like this before, but we would have a lot of international contractors
Oh, yeah.
help with
All my companies are like that. Yeah.
okay. And so it was it was really productive because these people were very hardworking, they're very talented, but then they just live in different geographical areas. Our CTO, Salman Kaya, who's actually like a famous YouTuber who teaches engineering in Turkey. I think he has 250K subs and I think he's a Turkish like celebrity potentially.
That's so cool.
Yeah. But he,
How'd you meet him?
I reached out to him cold.
Like you found a YouTuber on YouTube and you like let him be my co-founder?
Well, I randomly came across his LinkedIn profile and it was so good. It was like he used to work as a engineer at Yahoo, then he was a senior staff engineer at Uber, and then he was
In Turkey?
No, here.
Here, okay.
And then he was I think he had his YouTube channel with.
Oh, so he's based here, but he's Turkish.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So when I saw his profile, I was like, I love this background.
So you just reached out and
Yeah. I
how
just
many
reached
meetings
out.
did you have before partnering?
We had a lot of meetings, probably over, I'm gonna estimate like 10 to meetings.
Did you propose right away?
It was kind of like a proposal, huh? I wanted to trial with him prior because I wanted him to know what it's like to work with me. It's a big decision to join a startup.
Yeah, of course.
And I also wanted to know what it was like to work with him. So we trialed together for quite a while. I think around like 1 week to 2 weeks of trialing.
You paid him? How did that work?
So we did pay him.
So you had the company already. You were looking for the CTO. And
Yes,
okay.
exactly.
And then you paid him, and then he joined, and you gave him equity.
Yes,
Okay.
that's right. But he obviously, with his background, he had a lot of options as well. So it was this whole like.
That's amazing that you were able to
period.
convert him. That's great.
I was amazed that it worked out, and honestly, it was probably one of the best decisions we've ever made for the company. Is just him joining the team and just what he's been able to drive on the engineering front. Yeah.
So you had 8 people, 20 contractors. Can you talk about the revenue or like the number of creators you've had?
Yeah, so when we were at our peak, we were growing at 59% revenue month over month.
Oh, like growth?
Growth rates,
okay.
yeah. And then we had over about 5,000 creators at the time hosting communities, all across the size spectrum. So it was like small creators who were just starting out. Also, like Matt
pay,
Stefano was our
or
largest.
How many paying?
So the thing is, we had a rev share model. So it was very different where we didn't ask the creators to pay up front. Rather, we rev shared with them. So whatever they made from charging their communities, we took anywhere from 10 to 20%, depending on how much support they needed from us. So it's more like Patreon's model. But the downside of that business model is that once a creator is successful and you have a business, like 10 to 20% is a lot of
they just
revenue.
build something.
That's right. That's right. So, we've had a lot of internal discussions at Kajabi, especially when we are migrating over our Viably creators into the Kajabi ecosystem. And ultimately, we've landed on just the SaaS revenue model as the best for creators because it allows you to control your costs. It allows you to have, as long as the product is valuable, you're still just paying for one price that is allows the whole gauntlet of value from the product. So all in all, yeah, I'd say like SaaS, the traditional SaaS model of like just charging.
But you pivoted after you got acquired. Right?
Yes, yeah.
So before the acquisition, were you profitable or?
No. Far from profitable.
Okay.
So in that way, we were not like a bootstrapped company, right? We raised over 2.5 million. And so we were not at a point where we were profitable yet.
And so you had a decision of whether, you had to make a decision of whether you're going to raise another round or get acquired?
Yeah, okay, so the backstory here is we were actually raising a Series A. That was a good time to raise still. So we got a Series A term sheet, but the valuation just wasn't like as high as I would have expected. And we had a verbal offer from a company to acquire us. So at that point, I was analyzing the risk reward of continuing forward, knowing that the valuations were kind of this similar. And so I wanted to see what kind of offers we could get outside of that. So started looking around at the other companies.
Was it a tech company as well?
It was, no. They were just wanting to expand into the creator space. Yeah. But there were a lot of companies that could potentially be good partners for us, right? It could be ed tech, but it could also be any social media tech company. So I created a whole list and I reached out. Some of them
just cold email them?
Preferably intros are best. If you know someone who knows someone in the company, that's...
Who do you want to talk to? If it's at Kajabi, who would you talk to?
So generally the best champions are leads of product, so VP of product or business development, so a VP of biz dev. However, if you can talk to corp dev, that's okay too.
If they have that department.
Yeah, if they have that department. But it's nice to have an internal champion working alongside the corp dev team so that there's no blockages along the way.
So you asked for a bunch of intros, right, at those companies?
Asked for a bunch of intros.
How many companies?
We probably sent out around 25 emails.
And you said hey, I'm the co-founder of this company and I want to get acquired by you potentially?
Well, the thing is, I think it's best to not position it as an acquisition. It's best to like explore partnership wise before you pop the question.
Okay. So you're like, how can we partner?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, hi, my name is Teri, you know, founder of this. I would lay out any traction or accolades that we have just so people know that we're legit. And then would ask to potentially partner up. And it really helps when you have a vision of how that could happen prior to going into those calls. So like they don't have any information about you. So as long as like you position yourself as a company that could help them in some way, and you have like either visuals or, you know, a doc kind of outlining that out.
So for Kajabi, you would say we could potentially do like an affiliate marketing or whatever. Like what would be the offer?
Yeah, for Kajabi, they wanted both the team and the product.
But your initial offer was?
The initial offer was, let's see how we can work together, because I've heard a lot of Kajabi creators needing community. And this was a real thing. Like a lot of our creators were like, oh, how can we integrate with Kajabi?
So they had a course in Kajabi, but they would do communities on that.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was a natural synergy that we saw. And so I emailed one of our investors, Hitten in this case, who helped intro us to one of the board members, Jay Cron.
Nice. Are they here, Kajabi?
They are in Irvine. Yeah. And then that got a whole conversation started with Ahad, who's the CEO of Kajabi. And we just explored for probably up to like a month of what this could even look like together. But I came in very strong with an idea of like how that would look.
That's great.
And then ultimately we, you know, decided to move forward with Kajabi. We definitely had a few other offers.
You have. So out of 25, how many were interested?
So we ended up with 5 offers.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah, it was really good. So we started off with a lot of leverage, but as like time passed, we did have a few of them like change the terms of the deals, just because like the macro environment was starting to like twist at that moment. But ultimately, like Kajabi, like we couldn't be happier with our like results at Kajabi.
And so the 5 offers that you had, were they mostly for the product, or everybody wanted the team as well?
Everybody wanted the team for sure. The product was just some of the companies, but Kajabi definitely had the best product compatibility.
Is Vibely still live, or is it already part?
So Vibely is alive, but it's integrated into the Kajabi ecosystem.
So it's branded.
It's rebranded. So now it's called Kajabi Communities. Feel free to like check it out and use it. It's still a lot of the same like features and like access, just like with the power of Kajabi's suite of tools wrapped into it.
They took your code and integrated it.
Yes.
Instead of just swiping everything out and just building the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then when you decided to go with their offer, do you have to work for them for like 4 years? Is it a standard?
Good question. So a lot of these acquisition deals, they're just comprised differently based off of how you negotiate it, what matters to you, what matters to the acquirer. Like it can be a cash versus equity deal. It could be a split of cash and equity. It could also have different like earn-out periods. It could also have like different terms of how long you have to stay. So it does make financial sense for me to stay with Kajabi, but they're definitely not holding me hostage by any means. Like they're an amazing company. Like I love the culture there. It's very transparent, collaborative, positive. And then it's on a good growth trajectory, which I'm still really excited about. They powered over 5 billion in creator revenue.
Yeah, my course is on Kajabi.
Oh, is it really?
All of them.
That.
Yeah, but I have another platform for my foreign language courses, but Kajabi is all of my YouTube related.
Oh, how is it doing?
It's doing great. Yeah, we paid this $200 subscription.
It's an expensive fee, but with all the services,
it's better than a percentage of your total revenue.
Yes, absolutely.
So, you're happy with this acquisition, right?
Oh, very happy.
Good. Personal question: did you cash out? Like, did you take cash or just equity?
So we had a split cash equity deal.
A lot of taxes, right?
Yep, taxes. Man, the bane of my existence is taxes.
Because I think somebody told me there is this thing that you can do when you sell a company if you own it for over 5 years, whatever.
Called QBS.
QBS,
Yes. Yeah, it's a really good way for...
Did you do it?
No, I was doing it for 4.5 years, so we didn't quite hit the 5-year mark.
What's the difference in taxes if you do QBS?
I think it's actually you don't have to pay tax at all and you can funnel it into another company that you start. So it's not like you just don't pay taxes and you start spending it yourself.
Got it.
It has to be a part of another company initiative, but not a tax advisor by any means.
Yeah, no, totally. It's just good to know those words to Google them if you know if you're going through the process. Yeah, just knowing about those things.
Yeah.
Question about the whole Kajabi product. Do you ever get backlash about like courses created by creators which don't really provide value? You know, this whole conversation around like people who promise a lot of things and then they sell the course and they keep pushing the course and it costs like $10,000 and they promise to make you rich, etc. Do you have this problem?
You know, I haven't heard a lot of that kind of criticism of from the Kajabi side, but I certainly have heard like whispers, you know, on social, like just general social media. Like if you look at comments sometimes of people like promoting courses, it's like, you know,
I
on this
remember
train.
like somebody mentions, there's a creator who mentions promo codes in every single video and people just keep joking like you're going to be at the funeral and you're still going to mention a promo code in your speech.
I know. And the thing is, I think with everything, there's always like there's always more fraudulent or scammy like campaigns with certain, like in any industry, right? And so I feel like there is a little bit of stigma where, you know, where people are starting to sense like, oh, the get rich quick scams are, you know, in this realm of course creation. But with Kajabi creators, we haven't seen a lot of that that kind of sentiment. I think it's mostly because the creators who are on Kajabi often have like really good brands, are very authentic, like very have super engaged audiences that don't necessarily see that as like a get rich quick scheme.
Like, how does Kajabi market itself so that they only get? I feel like also maybe like the bigger get rich quick schemes, they would just do their own platform or maybe use like a get rich quick type of software.
Like I guess the get rich quick schemes, they may not even care about what content they're actually serving because all they're trying to do is make money like themselves quickly, right? And so I think people who pay for Kajabi don't tend to want to just like set something up and leave, like because there's legitimately a lot of value you can create from the Kajabi tools. And so there's like no reason to pay a software for it if you're gonna just like up and leave.
Interesting. So in general, like your overview of the industry, how healthy is it? Like in terms of quality? Because I feel like every creator has a course. And then people like, sometimes I buy courses all the time. And sometimes I'm like, okay, this is 170 classes, but then when you actually start the course, each class is like a minute. And you're like, okay, I didn't know that. But you know, I like courses because I feel like there's a lot of information in one place. What do you see? Do you see a lot of complaints? Like how, I don't know how to describe it, but like some industries are scammier than others. And I feel like because online courses like NFT, right? NFT space, super scammy. Everybody uses their influence to just push some product where you don't see the immediate value right away. I feel the course, you don't see the immediate value right away, but you can do a little push sale techniques to just pump the price, sell it, and then, you know, and just build a pyramid on top of it. What do you feel about the industry?
Well, in general, I'd say like the creator economy is one that I've wholeheartedly believe in, and something I think it is a way that we already, you know, are already consume things today. It's who we trust are often more the creators that show up on our feed. Like what we're influenced by is like largely determined by what we see nowadays. So I think that's going to continue to grow as an industry. So that macro is very healthy. As far as like courses as a value add, I think there's been a lot of people out there who have, you know, learned new skills, like become up-leveled in their careers, like really grown from the amount of the learning that's out there that's accessible now. And in general, what I'm seeing is like personal growth as a trend and as a topic is still very much like on the rise. I think Kajabi empowers others to help with others that wouldn't even have that kind of accessibility in the first place. So I think as long as we like make sure that the scamminess like doesn't like spread and we kind of educate people about like what is scammy, what is not, like it's still an industry.
What is scammy?
Good question. I think a scammy course wouldn't actually provide value to someone. It's just meant to be, it's a bait essentially for getting someone to pay and then not actually helping you progress in your goals
It's
and
just
achievements.
so, yeah, with courses it's so hard because some people would progress because they can apply the advice, and some people feel like, I've heard this before.
That's true. I guess I define it as if you took were motivated and took the time and the action to put these learnings into practice, would you be a better person for it? I think if so, then I think it can provide value to you as a consumer. The ones that, are just kind of haphazardly put together that don't really provide any meaningful advice, no insights, nothing that you couldn't just find for free, on YouTube. Those are the ones that are just trying to make the money up front and not actually providing value. But it is one of the things that we're building on the community side. One of the ways to get people to motivate themselves in courses and progress at higher rates is accountability and the community support, which is why the community becomes such a interesting way to help people stay relevant in their own goals and their own check-ins.
Yeah. Community definitely helps with, especially when we do YouTube courses, because you see peers filming for the first time and it's scary, but then you do it yourself too.
Yeah, doing it yourself sometimes is hard. Not everyone's a, thank you. Yeah, not everyone's a self-learner,
Okay, what's next for you? What are your plans?
So right now I am in recovery mode.
Okay, when did you sell?
It has been about 6+ months since we closed, and then we announced it only in November and December of last year.
I've heard it from everywhere. I think everyone shared the news in the community.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad
I was
that
so
people
happy
are
for you.
Oh, thanks, Marina. And so I've been recovering. I think now I want to just relax a little bit because it was in fight or flight mode for so long. But also, of course, I'm doing everything I can to help Kajabi be a
you're
better
a full-time
marketing brand. Yeah.
Employee.
Yeah.
Remote, right? Because you're still based here.
Yes, remote. They have an office in Irvine. I fly once every 2 months or 1 month. So not that often. But next, I'm thinking about writing a book. Actually, which sounds so silly.
About what?
So it's about how to network or how to build relationships within 30 minutes of meeting someone.
That's great. I would buy it.
Really?
Yeah, because I feel like the whole story that you've told, it's been all about relationships, how you help people build them and how you build them yourself by, getting your co-founder to join you, by reaching out on YouTube, by making the list of 25 companies who could potentially acquire you.
Yeah, that is if amazing. There's anything that's been my superpower, I'm not the best at product in the world. I'm not the best at, business strategy. I think building relationships with people quickly, even on a Zoom call in 30 minutes or less, is my strength. And so I would love to, teach others so that everyone can kind of build their own experiences and opportunities and connections.
Yeah.
Because it's been so second nature to me, but I realized that it's not obvious to everybody.
Yeah, that is amazing. Do you have any plans to start a company? Another company?
It's a good question. Yeah. Everyone tells me that I'm going to get the itch. I think I have a lot of ideas all the time. But because of how stressful the last startup journey was, I'm not sure. I think I want to maybe one day, but maybe not a venture company. I'm not sure yet.
What was the most stressful moment? So now that you mentioned
Oh my gosh, so many. There's moments like the COVID situation.
That was probably for every founder
For every founder, I'm sure. A lot of people had to switch their business models and strategies. So that was a big one. There were also some co-founder breakups that happened. That's always very hard.
How many co-founders did you have?
We had 2.
2. And so one of them left?
Yes. We actually had 2 co-founder breakups.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's something that's very, it was very tough, I think on both sides. And it's never easy because these are people that, you've been in the trenches with, that you care about.
But you started by yourself and then you onboarded.
Yes, and I recruited people.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I kind of tell people is startups are a series of believers that continually grow larger and larger as you become more and more successful and accomplish more milestones. So at the beginning, it's about finding your initial like co-founders who can believe in like the vision, the mission, the product that you might build together. Then it's about like getting some teammates. Then it's about getting your pre-seed investors or your seed investors to believe. And then you just start collecting more and more people who like see what you are gonna see what you're seeing, and eventually gets to the point where you're like, you know, Airbnb or Uber, where all the customers are believing in the fact that, you know, your product is the best for its use
And then you
case.
start dealing with the government, like all the legal things.
Yeah, that's always fun.
Yeah.
Probably my least favorite part of starting a company is like the legal aspects, HR, the accounting,
I know.
but it forces you to learn a lot of new skill sets.
And hire talented
Yes.
CPAs and lawyers.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much. That was so helpful and so inspiring. I hope we inspired entrepreneurs, especially female entrepreneurs out there. I get so many messages from you guys where you're like, I watched this video, I started my entrepreneurial journey, you inspired me. So hopefully Teri becomes one of the people who inspires you, her story inspires you, and you reach out to us later, like in a couple of years, sharing that you started a company.
It's all about taking action, taking that first step, like don't be afraid of rejection, take risk. And then once you do that, you know, everything just keeps going in the sense that if you push forward, you'll be able to accomplish what you set your mind out to.
Love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Marina.
Don't forget to subscribe, share it with your, share this video with your entrepreneur friends.
Evil founders.
Bye.
Love it.